What's up, peeps? This is Todd, and welcome back to my show. Working hard does not make you rich. What I mean by that is you can be working incredibly hard and never actually become wealthy. Hard work is a component of becoming rich, but it's not the most important thing. I've seen a lot of posts recently on Facebook and on Twitter about millionaires and billionaires, about how their wealth wasn't earned, it was exploiting the labor force, and a few other things about how it's not fair that millionaires and billionaires have all this money and other hardworking citizens do not have the same amount of money. The truth is, you're not paid based on how hard you work. You're paid based on the value you bring to the marketplace. For instance, I live in Seattle, Washington, and the quarterback of the Seattle Seahawks, Russell Wilson, makes about $30 million per year. Meanwhile, minimum wage in Seattle is $15 an hour, so somebody flipping burgers at McDonald's will make about $30,000 per year. That means that Russell Wilson is making 1,000 times more than the person flipping burgers in the hot kitchen of McDonald's. Now, is Russell Wilson working 1,000 times harder? Is he working 1,000 times more hours? The answer is no, he's not. But the reason why he can make $30 million a year as opposed to the guy flipping burgers making $30,000 per year is because the value that Russell Wilson brings to the marketplace allows him to make that money. People are willing to spend hundreds and sometimes even thousands of dollars to buy tickets to watch Russell Wilson play football. Not to mention, he's playing on national TV, and there's ad time and commercials, there's merchandising, and there's action figures, and there's all these things that allow Russell Wilson to make $30 million per year. It's not that Russell Wilson is working 1,000 times harder. So most of the people watching my channel already get this, but for the folks that may be just tuning in, this is something that I really want to articulate, is that it's not about how hard you work. It's about what are you doing? What skills or abilities do you possess that the market is willing to pay you for? In my own life, I had a minimum wage job. I had one time and then never again. In high school, I got a job at Quiznos, and I basically just made sandwiches and washed dishes and mopped the floors and cleaned the bathroom. And sometimes during the winter, I would have to go out and shake the Quiznos sign saying, "Come get a sandwich." That by far was the worst job I have ever had, and I quit after only a couple of months. Now, at the time in my area, minimum wage was about $8 per hour. And although a case can be made that the minimum wage ought to be higher and that someone working full-time should have a living wage, I'm not even going to disagree with that. But a surefire way to guarantee your income goes up, instead of marching around demanding the government force your employer to pay you more, in my experience, it's better to work on yourself. Self-improvement, develop your skills, and become more valuable to the marketplace. I quit that job at Quiznos because I just had enough. The pay was terrible, the work was awful, I hated just sitting there in my apron and visor making people sandwiches all day. So I started looking around and I said, well, the market has dictated that for someone to make sandwiches, the pay that's provided to them is $8 per hour. What other things could I do that will give me more than $8 per hour? In other words, what is the market willing to pay for? And after doing some research, I came across landscaping. So within a couple of days of quitting my Quiznos job, I started a landscaping business with my younger brother. We would mow lawns and pull weeds, we'd pressure wash driveways, I would chop and stack wood, and pretty much just do anything that my clients wanted me to do. Now, from this landscaping job, as a high schooler, I was able to make $15 per hour. And again, at the time that I was in high school in my area, minimum wage was only $8 per hour. So almost immediately, I doubled my money. Because instead of making sandwiches and doing something that, well, the market doesn't really value and the market doesn't really reward, I decided to do something else that the market is willing to pay more for. Now, with my landscaping business, did I work twice as hard? No, I didn't, and I didn't work twice as many hours. Now, running a landscaping business was hard work, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't twice as hard. It was probably 50% harder than my job at Quiznos, but I was able to make about double the money. This year, in the year of 2021, I will make about $1.4 million, and that is after taxes, after all expenses. That's what I'm actually going to net. Now, although I don't work 40 hours per week now, if you sort of like annualize that out over a full-time schedule, that's about $700 per hour, assuming that I would work 2,000 hours in a year. Now, again, I didn't actually work 2,000 hours this year, but this is just simple math to give an example. If you go back to that job that I had at Quiznos, where I was making $8 per hour, as opposed to today where I'm making $700 per hour, that means that right now I'm making about 87 times more money than I used to be making while I was working at Quiznos. So let's ask the question again. Am I working 87 times harder than when I was working at Quiznos? Certainly not. The Quiznos job, I was working really hard. I was washing dishes for like 6 hours a day. Then I was making sandwiches and it was hot and gross. And I had to smile like a total idiot while I made these sandwiches for people. And then I go out in the freezing cold and shake the sign in the rain and the snow, like getting people to come to our store. Like, it was awful, and frankly, it was pretty hard work. But today, I'm making 87 times more money. I'm certainly not working 87 times more hours. I'm not working 87 times harder. But I am working in an industry that the market values. I own a real estate company, and people are willing to pay a lot of money for housing. I'm also working on some wholesale deals where realistically, off of just a couple hours of work, my fees will be about $50,000 a pop. Again, just for a few short hours of work. Now, how is that possible? Well, in the scenario of the wholesale deal, the reason why I'll be able to make 50 grand in about 4 hours is because I'm helping somebody else make 800 grand. So they're certainly happy to pay me $50,000 if I'm making them 800 grand. I would never ever make $50,000 working a couple hours making sandwiches at Quiznos. And why is that? Well, it's because nobody's going to be paying tens of thousands of dollars to eat a Quiznos sandwich. So they couldn't possibly pay me 50 grand for a few hours of work. It's not that I work harder today. It's that I've developed my skills and abilities so that I can work the same amount of hours but command significantly more money. I'm working in industries that the marketplace truly values and that the market is happy to pay me for my time and efforts. So if you take anything away from this video, just know this. You are not paid based on how hard you work. You're not even truly paid based on how much time you put into something. You are paid solely on the value that you bring to the marketplace. I hope this video was helpful to you, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.